Medical information, family information is super important.
Mhm.
Now, how do they live? Do they have a live debt? Do they have a checking account? You'd be amazed how many people do not have a checking account. They're paying all their bills by credit card. What's their interest on the debt? This goes into the stable attitude of people when it comes to buying disability insurance. Naturally, they're there to protect their income, but the benefits, big thing is it's tax-free to the policyholder.
Welcome to Small Strides, Big Business, the podcast for insurance agents who want to grow their business in a way that feels smart, sustainable, and authentic. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about better sales interactions, client service, automation, mindset, marketing, referrals, practical things that move your business forward in real life. Whether you're brand new or years into the game, so grab a notebook and let's dive into today's conversation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Crystal Small, and this is Small Strides Big Business podcast, where we chat with some leaders in the insurance space, learn from them, grow from them, and try to get some words of wisdom. So I'm really excited. Today we have Michael Wish. Michael has been in the insurance space for about 50 years. He's out of Avon, Massachusetts. Michael's part of the Better Business Bureau. He's also been an educator specifically around disability insurance classes or around disability insurance, teaching disability insurance classes. And he's been in a couple of magazine articles. So before we get into some deep diving on some questions I have for you, can you just share a little bit about how you got started in insurance? It's been a little while, so I'm sure that you've seen a lot over the last 50 years changing and all of the things. So let's start from the beginning.
I was only 18 years old, and I needed a summer job, and I was asked, well, if you don't have a summer job yet, which I could have easily got back in 1975,
Yeah.
I was said, well, would you like to get your insurance license? I said, sure, why not? And back then it was a little bit simpler and more straightforward to get your insurance license. So I did, and I started part-time as an insurance agent, writing strictly life and disability insurance policies. And of course, initially I wasn't very successful doing it because I was only 18 years old.
Yeah.
But as I got more experience, more confident, then of course, while I was part-time as a college student, I still loved disability and life insurance policies and a lot of, at that time, Medicare supplement policies. The approach today is totally different than it was in 1975.
Yeah.
So I graduated in 1978, and I decided, for better or for worse, I'd continue the insurance business.
Well, it seems like for better.
But I hope so. My clients would hopefully agree. After so many years, I decided in 1982 I would go out on my own because I felt that the insurance company set up at that time where you work through a major insurance company, an agency, was just not for me. So I said I could do this just as well without the agency structure and the insurance company structure. And I became independent.
Wonderful. And an
as an
entrepreneur
insurance.
from the beginning.
Yeah, I was only, let's say, 1982. So that's what, 43 years ago. So I was still a young agent. I was 1982, I was what, 26 years old.
Wow.
And
Good for you.
most people said, oh, you'll never make it. And you're too young to have your own agency and so forth. And I said, well, okay, you can believe anything you want. Well, here I am today.
That's incredible. And you've been doing it on your own ever since. Well, that leads to kind of my first question. When we first chatted, I love this. You coined yourself as the general practitioner of insurance. So I know that you've seen this industry change dramatically over, the last 50 years. Can you just share a little bit about maybe how you've shifted? I think that you said policies are similar, but how the sequences and how you've been building has changed. So what have you seen over the last 50 years leading us to today?
The major there was two major events, not necessarily by specific dates, but by general time frame. So
Okay.
in the mid to yeah, let's say 1980s, mid 1980s to approximately 1990, there was a gigantic shift in the tax codes and laws
Mm.
governing the insurance industry, especially life and disability insurance and long-term care, which was still in its infancy as a product. So many agents, I said, I'm going to keep up with it, or they were retiring and they said, well, we're not doing this anymore. So here I am in the middle. I have to say, well, I have to keep up. And I shifted my marketing completely to take account for these major tax codes. And the other thing that happened, which we're all aware of, is technology came into play.
Mm.
When I first started for the first roughly 15 years, there was no such thing as email, no such thing as really fax machines,
Yep.
no internet, and that took hold in the late 90s.
Yep.
So those two things were the really revolutionary things that affected the insurance business. And of course, I had to keep up with it gladly.
Hmm.
It was not a big deal. And I developed a website, which we changed over time. That's
Sure.
another story, which I won't go into. And in the early 2000s, I felt that if I didn't get into the property and casualty insurance business, I was not going to survive. Just as
Hmm.
simple as that. And I had the opportunity to buy an agency. And unfortunately, the gentleman that was going to sell his agency, who was ready to retire, changed his mind at the last minute. Right. So I he ended up selling his agency to another agency, but I was told by many people he was very dissatisfied with
Mm.
the decision he made. But that's uh, what happens.
Yep.
You had the right person in front of you. At least I felt I was the right person, and he decided not to do that. But I said, well, I was already licensed as a property and casualty agent. I said, well, I'm going to open a commercial location to satisfy my property and casualty, which is required, as much as
Hmm.
my life and health insurance. So since 2002, when I incorporated property and casualty into my agency, and I opened this office here in Avon, again, there was major changes and the way insurance companies operated. The product lines changed as much as the life and disability and long-term care insurance industry changed. So you have to keep up with this
Right.
literally maybe a few times a year,
Yep.
right? And so here we are.
Yeah.
And, you know, 23 years later, here I am with my own location, which hasn't really changed except a few, fun decorative items
I
that you
see
can
some good
see.
stuff on your wall behind
Right.
you. I think
Right.
you touch on something that I speak about a lot with people is just, being flexible and how you're growing. And I know, you talked about the tech boom back then with computers and email, and now we're in another tech boom with AI, right? So there's a lot of opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit cautious about because it's I see it every day. I mean,
Hmm.
you can't escape it.
Right.
You cannot escape it. And sometimes I think it's useful as a reference to myself, but not necessarily to my clients. So I write all my own text with myself and my
Hmm.
senior manager who works offsite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I
And
think like everything, you can do it right and you can do it wrong. That's
that's
for
right. And we're
sure.
both very, the big word that we're always cautious of and cognizant of is compliance.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
well, there are many agencies that unfortunately have not been compliant and they're forced out by the
Mm.
insurance companies or regulators, or the regulatory bodies. I've had many people come into my office said, "It's amazing you're still here." I said, "Well, I don't think it's amazing." They said, "Well, it is." Uh, Pretty much the old sole proprietor,
Mhm.
part of a big agency.
Mhm.
I said, "Well, I'm part of an insurance group, but that has nothing to do with the operation of my agency. They're just there for insurance company support."
Yeah. Well, clearly you love what you're doing too, Michael, because, you're still showing up and giving back to this community every day. So, just really not shifting gears too much, but talking about really the mastery of your craft. And I feel like, as the general practitioner of insurance, you didn't get there overnight. I know that education has really been fundamental, knowing your products and the process and being the biggest asset to your clients, but specifically disability insurance and underwriting. Do you mind spending a little bit of time and give us some wisdom in that?
So it's disability insurance coupled with long-term care insurance. It's really an offshoot of long-term care insurance and offshoot disability insurance, but it's still an underserved facet of the insurance industry. Always has
Mhm.
been, always will be. All right. So when I taught insurance classes, the biggest complaint I received from students, other insurance agents, was it's too difficult to write. All right. And there was a lot of questions, a lot of people not comfortable asking questions.
Mhm.
I don't know why. All right. But that's part of being successful underwriter of disability insurance. And what's happened is that many companies have left the insurance arena for disability insurance. So I used to have like 7 companies that write highly competitive and quality disability policies. Now it's down to maybe 1 or 2. That's it. Right. Same with long-term care. It used to be multiple companies, but because of poor underwriting by the insurance companies and sometimes the agencies, they collapsed in on themselves. And now it's down to a precious 2 companies rather here in Massachusetts, and most states are similar for long-term care insurance. So you have to qualify, and the key is to answer all the questions. So some people don't want to answer the questions. I said, look, I understand your reluctance and your shyness and maintain your privacy, but that's my job. I have to ask these questions, not to be nosy, but it's if you went to your doctor or went to your accountant and they started asking all these questions, you wouldn't think twice about providing that information. Well, look at me the same way. All right. So many times I will talk to my clients' accountants and or attorneys. Once in a blue moon, I might get some medical information updates from a doctor, but through HIPAA, which is privacy, I can't talk to doctors too often anymore. All right. But tax people, legal people, other financial people who really have no knowledge or interest in the insurance industry. They rely on someone like me to do a proper job for their clients. So disability insurance, I say I need tax returns. What do you need those for? I said because the IRS looks at your tax returns if it comes to disability insurance. All right. They audit the insurance companies and they say, how did you justify writing this policy with these documents? And the insurance company has to produce it. And that's where I come in because the insurance company is not going to go out to the client and say, give us these documents. And the client's going to say, no, we're not giving it to a gigantic insurance company that
Right.
created that, sell my information. No, 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 no. It doesn't work like that. But that's where I come in. Medical information, family information is super important. Now, how do they live, right? Do they have a lot of debt? Do they have a checking account? You'd be amazed how many people do not have a checking account.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Are they paying all their bills by credit card? What's their interest on the debt? This goes into the stable attitude of people when it comes to buying disability insurance. Naturally, they're there to protect their income, but the benefits, the big thing is it's tax free to the policyholder.
So definitely having that comfortable relationship with your clients is important because that is a lot of personal information.
Right.
For
Height,
sure.
weight, medications, again, how people live. You can look around sometimes someone's home or their business, and based on their attitude is how you judge sometimes. And I'm not saying to be judgmental. That's not the point. The point is to say, well, are they respectful of the process? Right? I don't care if they live in a small studio apartment or they live in a gigantic home. The fundamentals are still the same.
Excellent. Okay. So your advice then to new people that are wanting to do disability policies is really to go and meet those clients where they're at, become, form a relationship of trust and ask some hard questions, get
Right.
some hard
Case,
information.
I could tell you countless stories of people that, you think that you have their trust, and then they throw you a gigantic curveball,
Mm,
and you have to determine sometimes what happened. And sometimes you get to the bottom of it, and sometimes you can't. But if I can't get to the bottom of it, I have nothing.
mm.
And I'm not going to push anybody when they're not comfortable.
Sure, sure. You mentioned that there's just a couple of companies that you feel have good insurance, good critical care. You don't have to mention which ones, but what do you look for in a policy so that what do you look for in a policy that you would deem it well? Let me try that again, Michael. I'm
And that's fine.
struggling
I
with
think I know you understand your question. So what happens, Crystal, is that almost all policies have what we call guarantee renewal. So the insurance company, once the policyholder is in, unless they lie to the insurance company and me, the insurance company cannot cancel their policy due to claims. They can't change the premium structure because of claims. All right. It has to do for everybody that has that policy with that
Great.
with that insurance company. The benefits are, like I said, are tax free. So it's based on either your income and or your business expenses if they own a business to
Mm-hmm.
justify reimbursement of those business expenses. How long can people hold off not getting a check or on a guaranteed basis from a source? So more than a few people have said to me over time, well, now let's Social Security payment. Well, Social Security, you have to qualify, and about 70% of all people who apply for Social Security disability are not eligible to receive it. When they buy disability insurance from me, all they are required is their loss of time and a doctor's report indicating that they cannot work. Really, it's quite straightforward, and it pays in addition, in most cases, to workers' compensation, individual policies. It pays in addition to Social Security.
Definitely something that is beneficial for people to have, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
many claims where people say, I'm so glad that I bought this policy from me. I have one client
Yeah.
right now. I'm going to go visit tomorrow. She's not in a nursing facility, but she bought long-term care insurance from me 27 years ago, and the
Mm.
policy values have grown,
Mm.
right? Um, she said to me the last time I visited her, she says, if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I'd be right now financially. I'd be in very, very bad shape.
Yeah.
So that's what disability, long-term care, life insurance does for people, for their families, their businesses. It really is a great guarantee that
Yeah.
cannot be matched. It cannot be matched anywhere.
Yeah. Thinking about specifically your family and whether you get sick or whether you pass away, what you're leaving for them as far as, are they going to be struggling through that process, or is there going to be the support there because of what you've chosen to do earlier in your life?
Yeah. There's always an adjustment period. I don't care if it's someone's well off or where is it their next dollar is going to come from and how
Yep.
much. It's a gigantic adjustment period for almost everybody.
Mm,
So you have spouses involved, you have children involved, grandchildren involved,
for sure.
business partners involved, you name it. I handled an account years ago, where as a father and two sons, and one son was operating part of the family business from another state. I dealt with right then and there. I dealt with the attorney. They brought me into the case. I dealt with the accountant, who I found out during the meeting they happened to be a licensed insurance agent, and my
Mm,
heart went right up to here. And he said to me, "I couldn't do what you do." He says, I'm an insurance agent. He says, "I just could not do what you just did."
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So
What a blessing you were.
yeah, and the patriarch of the family, after about 3 or 4 years, he passed away.
Hmm.
So the family was made whole by my work, and it still was a big, big struggle for that family. Big,
Yeah. Yeah.
because now you have sons and other people involved in the business, and of course they're not doing it the same way as the father did.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's always an adjustment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know we also spoke, we've touched on specifically disability insurance, but I also would love to ask you for, maybe those newer insurance agents out there who have, like myself, starting kind of a second career or a third career, or, our 20 somethings or our 18-year-olds like you were. What is some advice that you would give them? I know education is really important to you, but what's some advice you would give some new people in this industry?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm.
Get mentors. I mean, I've been mentored to some people, but I didn't say I'll be your mentor. It just happens organically.
Yeah.
But mentors are huge. It doesn't have to be someone necessarily in the insurance business. So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, one of my clients owned a oil service business. I would come by his business at least once a week. He's just a wonderful man. And he and his wife owned the business. And she says, go in there and talk to him. And he'd say, you're working on accounts in the area. So I'd show him. He said, oh, don't waste your time with that person. Don't waste your time with that one. That one's good. Yeah, that one you should definitely talk to.
Okay.
I'll make a call on your behalf.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, he owned them. He had nothing to do with insurance, but he was a client of mine, and he felt that he he wanted me to succeed and do people right.
Great
So,
mentor.
having a mentor is great. Like you said, education is great. Read all the time. I do constantly, and I
Hmm.
find out the winds of where the insurance industry is going in overall. And sometimes I get yelled at because I'm trying to do my job. Some people think I'm stepping on their toes, but that's to say that's just too bad. I'm
Yeah.
there for my client. I don't really care about if I'm going to step on somebody's toes in the corporate hierarchy.
Sure.
I'm here to help my clients. And once they understand that, most of them say, oh, well, okay, well, I don't want you to think that we're angry with you. I said, okay, sure you want. But learn all the time. Newer agents have to get continuing education credits,
Hmm.
45 over a 3-year period. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm getting grandfathered. Yeah, but I do have to take once a year certain compliance courses for money laundering, the Patriot Act, and all sorts of nefarious possibilities how people can lose money when they buy a type of financial insurance products. So
Okay.
that's right. So
Okay.
that's the simplest advice I can provide.
Mentors. Yep,
Mentor,
find people who have done it before you. I love that, and sometimes it's hard to find when you're new, but just
Well, I'll give you another suggestion. Go into a bank, right, and say, "Hi, I'm here as a new insurance professional, and I need your help. And I want your help in understanding how you serve the community in banking, and how I can maybe be a partner in certain situations with your customers for insurance needs."
that's
So
great.
the worst they can say to you is, "No, we won't do that."
Right.
This is, sure, give me a card and let's talk.
Yeah,
Some will even say, let's go and have a coffee.
I love it.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy.
Yep.
What I call marketing schemes that once you pay millions of dollars, so to speak, quote unquote, having access. No, doesn't work that way.
Belly to
Be
belly
what
is important. Belly to belly is important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be a bank, it could be a well-respected business in your community, and you tell them what you're doing. You say, and the key phrase is, "I need your help."
Mm. Okay. Asking for help. That's a great one. That's
I
one
do it
that
now.
people don't do enough, Michael.
Right.
That's
I
so
do it now.
true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
Love to help other people. They
they
really
do.
do. They really do love to help other people. So
Right.
wonderful. So I guess last kind of question, what is your, next 5 to 10 years look like? I know that your son works with you. So what do you see for your agency in the next, couple of years?
Well, aside from my day-to-day routine being here, and it's a wonderful, relaxing, so you have to work hard and must be tough on you. Now it's not tough on me. It would be tough. My brain's stopped functioning. But I do a lot of volunteer work in the community. I'm a Rotarian, and I came across a special project by accident, and I've talked to other Rotary clubs and other libraries, for example, in the area about the history of this one small facet of the Rotary industry, Rotary service organization.
Uh-huh.
So I look at it as, well, here I am. And I happen to be the district representative for insurance in my Rotary district, which is 65 Rotary clubs.
Wow.
the Cape and the Islands, all through southeastern Massachusetts, all the way, every city and town in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Right. So people call me up and say, "We need this. What do you think of that?" And I help them out gratis, of course, to for their club's insurance needs. Once in a
Excellent.
while, their own personal needs, but primarily the club's insurance needs.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
call them too,
Okay.
and it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
That's going to help my insurance business. One is not exclusive to the other.
Well, it's keeping you young, Michael. That's great. And giving
Well,
back.
even with my gray hair.
Which used to be red, you told me.
It was. I showed a picture of the other day of my kids, with my mother many years ago. I was probably about, I'd say 30. My mother was probably in her early 50s. And they were like, "Wow, Dad, look at you."
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I know if people want to find you and, maybe potentially plug in if they're in that area that you just talked about in the Avon area or Massachusetts, they can find you at wishinsurance.com, correct?
Yeah. And mwish at wishinsurance.com for email. And I'm licensed in other states as
Okay.
well, to service clients in other states in the United States and Canada. So,
Wonderful.
but it was great talking with you, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you for spending time with me today on Small Strides, Big Business. I hope this conversation gave you some clarity, confidence, or one new idea to move your agency forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe and share it with another agent who could benefit. I'm Crystal Small, and remember, every small stride you take today builds the foundation for long-term confidence, stability, and growth in your business.